So hello YouTubes, and welcome to another exciting video about fun with fire. This time I'm talking about a gizmo I got this month called the Cook Air BBQ. And it's just a little intro. There's no real video here, it's just me talking and a little PowerPoint with lots of stills. So I'm going to try to keep it fairly brief, and hopefully you're looking at this if you're interested in this kind of thing and not going to find it some kind of torture. Haha. Anyway, that's the gizmo there with nice big flames gushing out. So what's the deal with this? And how hot? And wood? Well, yeah. So it gets really hot really fast because it's got a fan that forces air into the burn chamber, and it's like a little miniature forced air blast furnace kind of rig. And it's very hot and nice, and it gets hot quickly, and it even gives an interesting flavor to the food that you're cooking on it, like steak or burgers or chicken or whatever. So backstory briefly, I've been using charcoal at home mainly for quite a while, but it's slow, and if you want to do something quick, that's not going to work. And when I was on holiday at the start of the month, I realized that having something faster is nice. And by random luck, I found that someone on Kijiji locally was selling a Cook Air unit, which I looked at and was like, this sounds cool. So I did some reading, and I was keen. So I bought it. So from what I can tell, the backstory on this thing is that it was invented in the 90s by a guy in Quebec, Sherbrooke or something, and it was marketed as the Beau Ox Eco Grill, I think, and you can find photos a bit if you Google. And I think it's been re-brought to market in like the last 10 years or less, approximately. Slightly different build, the parts apparently aren't compatible, but it's extremely similar and conceptually the same concept, that you have forced air, burn chamber, heat dissipation underneath the barbecue, and then the barbecue where you cook your food. And you can still buy these things, so if you think this sounds cool, I recommend it. It's neat. As a vaguely related bits and pieces, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I'm interested in wood burning campfire stoves for like cooking when you're canoe camping and stuff in particular. And there's another product called the BioLite, which is, I think, first and foremost for like cooking on a pot over the stove. But they have an add-on that lets you give a grill kind of thing similar to this guy. I think it's a little smaller though, and I think the target audience is slightly different. I think the price points are a little different. So what's the deal? So on the left is the unit with its lid on, and on the right is a photo on the floor with the lid off, and it's got an LCD panel and some buttons on the bottom you can see, which let you see whether it's on or off and whether you're running it at fan speed 1 through 5. So you can control the speed of the fan, turn it off, turn it on, that's about it, and that's really all you need. It's got a burn chamber in the center, and it's got a heat dissipation metal panel with these slats that sit above the burn chamber and underneath the grill. And you power it either with an AC adapter, or it's got a cigarette lighter, so if you want to do like on the back of your pickup, you hook it up into your car, I guess, and have a bumper grill cook fest. And you can even run it on D-cell batteries if you want to take it car camping somewhere or into the middle of the woods, goodness knows. So the basic deal is that you start with the empty chamber, and in my case I just put in a little wad of newspaper and some twigs, and then you light it and turn the fan on to 1. It smokes for about 20 seconds, and then poof, it just bursts into this glorious flame, and then you crank the fan up to 3 or 4 or 5, and it burns more furiously once you push it to 5. And it really throws a nice amount of fire, like really quite a large amount of flame dramatically quickly. And you can easily refuel it. In my case, I was just using twigs that I'd smashed up into pieces, and you know, if it's burning low, you just lift off with the handle that they provide, which is nice and sturdy, the upper half with the heat spreader in the grill, throw some more fuel in, put the lid back on, you're all good. When you put the heat spreader grill unit on top, this is what it looks like, and you can see the fire underneath burning very happily. When I used my little heat temperature reading gun, this was after about a minute and a half, it was still heating up. My first reading on the left is at 293 roughly Celsius, and then when I hit 320 Celsius, my unit for reading temperature aired out. So I can't really tell once it goes above 320 Celsius, but that's still pretty friggin' hot, and it gets to that temperature quickly. So when I've used this for cooking stuff that's fairly easy, like steak or burgers, You basically have everything ready, meat at room temperature ideally, fire up the wood, let it heat for 2 to 3 minutes, throw your food on, it sears brutally fast, turn your heat down a bit from the 5 to the 3 setting maybe, cook it on the other side for another couple of minutes maybe, put the lid on to smoke it briefly, and you're done. The whole thing's finished in like 10 to 12 minutes from start to finish. Once it's kind of burned down, you're left with this kind of glowiness at the bottom. If I threw wood in at this point, it would relight and keep going, and you can do that repeatedly if you need to. I've done some slower stuff on the lower setting and was able to string it along for like 20 plus minutes, no drama. Once it burns out, you're left with just a little bit of ash underneath. It really burns down pretty clean. So that's about it. And their website is online, and this is the stuff they show on their website. I have a feeling the version I bought is a slightly earlier build, because the modern ones they show on their website have like colors instead of just the straight metal finish. But whatever, I think basically it's the same gig. And yeah, I've cooked a bunch of things on it, and so far the flavor is nice, the cooking speed is stupidly fast, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to do a real video just showing it actually in action, and that will hopefully be fun and interesting for people. And of course the usual disclaimers, blah blah blah. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm just a user. I don't have any relation to the company. And if you enjoyed the video, leave some comments and that kind of thing. And if you hated the video, I guess you can leave some comments, but don't feel obliged.